Now, sir, please start. So now again, welcome to all the participants for day three, session three. Dr. N. Srinivasan is our speaker, and he is trying to give brief about machine learning. Now it's over to you, sir. Namaste, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon to all. So, morning session, given some brief introduction about the what is the machine learning, what are the stages is there. So, in this session, I give out the some clarity on what is the unsupervised learning techniques. I will explain about the unsupervised learning techniques here. Okay. So, I said in both the cases, even supervised and unsupervised cases, what we are doing, we are generating the labels, but we can project the terminology in different way. So in case of, for example, in unsupervised case, what we'll say, we can form the groups. That is for our clarity purpose. We can say in that terminology, but indirectly we can generate the labels with the help of the clustering only. Means unsupervised learning techniques. Okay. So my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yeah. So here, I already morning given the clarification what is the supervised learning algorithm. Basically, that is used for the classification. In unsupervised learning algorithms, mainly we can call as the clustering. Okay. So some terminology depending on the what application is. For example, if you go for the um, data mining kind of people, they will use the terminology for the data. They will use called as the patterns. So depending on the pattern, your application means features will be changed. Okay. So I given the morning only image related features, like image also many features, different type of the features is there, but I given the only pixel intensity values based features. Okay. So other than pixel intensity values, maybe edge based features is there, texture based features is there, or many is there. Okay. So like that, depending on application, I said morning itself also, if it is the text document, then text related features you need to extract it. That is maybe keywords or stop words, or maybe ngrams kind of thing is there, or maybe it is a video also same as a image. You go for the color histogram, image edges kind of thing. Other than image related features, we can have the extra features is called video, is the some motion kind of thing. Okay. That because it is the video, in that motion is there, motion related information we need to extract it. And any other application specific, for example, fingerprints is there. Fingerprints also we can take in terms of image, but here you want to apply the color or a texture kind of thing, it won't helpful. Then that how the separate features is there, separate information you need to extract. So that information related to the loops, arcs, ridges and valleys kind of thing. Okay. So you can remember any application. It's not only this image or video or text or whatever it may be. Any data you are working, definitely you need to extract the properties. So the properties, number of properties is depending on your data. So non-computer science background people who are other department people like mechanical or civil or chemical kind of people, they want to apply the machine learning. Their data have a very less number of feature values. Maybe they will extract the 5 feature values, 4 feature values, or 3 feature values like that. So because their application contains only that less amount of information. Okay. So that is enough for those people. Okay. Now come to the here in this session, I will give the only explanation about the unsupervised learning technique. So that is called the clustering. Okay. So what is mean by clustering is, the clustering is the process of grouping the set of data objects into the similar data objects. So it is the only process of grouping. How you are grouping means, the what you take the set of data objects that you form into the group. In that group, all the object contains the similarity. Means similarity is more within that group. Okay. So like that you are forming, your processing of grouping is called the clustering. Then morning I said what is going on in classification. So here, for example, you consider that your data is a two-class data kind of thing. For example, plus class is there. Another sample is the minus class kind of thing is there. So when you're doing the applying this, for example, it is unsupervised data, means unlabeled data is there. Then you can do clustering. You form the clusters kind of thing. Means grouping. You can do the grouping kind of thing. Okay. But suppose if your data is the labeled data is there, so it is also two class classification, plus class is there or minus class is there. So in this case, suppose it is labeled data means definitely you need to apply the supervised learning algorithm. Supervised learning algorithm means you need to do the classification. So classification means what you are doing, you are constructing the line. Internally your model, I said the classification you are generating the model. Generating the model means what is there in the model. Model is not like any architecture kind of thing. Model is nothing but it contains some set of parameters only. That parameters are tuned parameters, okay, which are the more related to the your data. Okay, with help of that parameters it will give the this discrimination line, this generalization of the line. Okay, with help of the line we can discriminate the these two classes, plus class and minus class. Okay, then what is the line equation? Y equal to mx plus c. So this is only you are constructing. You can see the most of the algorithms like support vector machines or neural network classifiers. You clearly you can solve this problem. Y equal to w transpose x plus b. So w is the weights and b is the bias. This only you can solve the problem. Means you are constructing this one. So it's look like a y equal to mx plus c. This line equation only. So internally you can constructing the this line. This line is called the, we can call as the, this line is hyperplane or decision boundary. Okay, so you are generating a model means internally what you are doing, you are constructing the line with what are the parameters is there. For example, in this case parameters are the weights and bias kind of thing is there. So these weights and bias are tuned related to the your data. After tuning, after some time is over, then these parameters are more close to the your data. Then that information will be there in the model. Okay, so this line will be constructed. Suppose if I am not taking the c, then what will happen? Then my data is like I constructed y equal to mx. Then what is that mean? So y equal to mx. What is that mean? So you are taken the, you are not taken the c means c is 0 means that always, okay, always our the line passing with the origin means is always passing with this origin only. So you are passing with the origin. For example, your samples is here, then it is correctly classified. These samples, these are misclassified. So our what are the, you are constructing the hyperplane or decision boundary. It's not possible to always pass with the hyperplane. Maybe your data, depending on data, you need to construct your hyperplane. Your data is like this, okay. Then where is required a hyperplane? Hyperplane is required this like this only. Okay, this for example AB is there. A hyperplane is not required because it is given the misclassification. B hyperplane is required to separate the two classes. So that's the reason we can take the y equal to mx plus c. Then line will go anywhere, not in only origin. Okay, so that you can remember. So here your this is happen in the modeling phase. In testing phase, what we are doing, we are generating the labels. But in unsupervised case, okay, only we have the data is there, then we can say we are forming the groups. So normally internally forming the group is, it is not physically visible like this group. It is not possible. Just to what we are assuming our side is you are forming the group, but internally what will happen, you are generate the labels for the data. Why you are generating the labels? Because you only have the data is there, the data also unlabeled data. So unlabeled data means there is no class names for this data. Now you are generating the labels with help of the clustering procedure. So different type of clustering mechanisms, clustering algorithms is there. So which is a suitable algorithm or which one to apply, you can apply and you can generate the labels for the your samples, means your data. Okay. So the way of doing the grouping is called the clustering. Okay, and cluster is the collection of a data objects only. What is the cluster means? Cluster is the collection of a data objects. So here similar to one other within the same class and dissimilar to object compare with the another cluster. So that when you are comparing the one object in one cluster and compare with another object in another cluster, then that is called the intercluster similarity. Okay, so here one document is there, you are comparing this document with another document in another cluster, means these two documents are different clusters. That is called the intercluster similarity. Then my question is, intercluster similarity is more or less? Which is correct one? Intercluster similarity more or less? Any answer? So here what you're doing, you're comparing you taken the one document from cluster A, another document from cluster B, or maybe one image from the cluster A or another image from the cluster B. Then these two are you are comparing. So when you're comparing means if it is a similar, then what you need to do? If it is similar means they both are comes under the same cluster. But if it is a different cluster means similarity is less. So here intercluster similarity means always we can look for the less only. If it is a more similar, then what will happen? These two cluster B and cluster A make it as a single cluster. So that's the reason the intercluster similarity is less. So that's the reason that these documents are separated and kept into the different cluster. For example, one document from the one cluster, another document also from the same cluster we are comparing. Okay. So when you're comparing the two documents, that two documents are belongs to the same cluster, then that is called the intercluster similarity. So now we can say intercluster similarity less or more. So intercluster similarity less or more. So intracluster similarity is more because the documents what you are comparing it belongs to the same cluster. If it belongs to the same cluster means same group means what is that meaning of you're forming the grouping how they form, because the two documents are similar then you can kept into the one cluster. So that is the reason when you're comparing the two documents the similarity is more, but that is called the intra-cluster similarity. And intercluster similarity means you are comparing the one object with another object and that is the intercluster similarity, then that is the less. So you can remember these 2 points, intercluster similarity and intracluster similarity. Based on this, your forming clusters are good clusters or not, you can say. How you can say your after doing the clusters, your clusters are good or bad? So after forming your clustering process, you did your clustering on your data. Okay. Then you want to say your clusters are good or bad. So based on this one, for example, intercluster similarity is less and intercluster similarity is more. Then you can conclude, okay, your forming clusters are very good clusters. That you can conclude. So intercluster similarity is less, intracluster similarity is more. Okay. So this is based on this you can conclude your final what your method you are applying on clusters after forming clusters are good clusters. Okay. So now it is in one of the functionalities of the pattern recognition or machine learning or whatever it may be. Different people they use the different terminologies. Okay. So is one of the functionalities means this classification also one of the functionality, clustering also one of the functionality, recognition also, regression also one of the functionality, and ensemble methods. So many is there. So it's the clustering is the one of the functionality. I said already, this is the unsupervised learning algorithm. Okay, then it's different to the classification. How it is different to the classification? So it is only only data is there, that is unlabeled data is there. So based on that, you can generate the labels or form the clusters. But classification, what will happen? You have the trained data is there and test data is there, and we have the labeled information kind of thing. Okay, so in this we can generate the model and we can do it. So for unsupervised case, there is no training set is not required because only one data is there. Based on data only we can form the groups. So it is applicable in many application in marketing, biology, documents, grouping kind of thing. Okay, and decision making, machine learning, and it is one of the machine learning algorithm only. Okay, so I will show what kind of application they are using. Okay. So the main challenges in clustering is clustering of the large data sets. So for example, you have the large data set is there. Then what is the problem? It will be take lot of time because here clustering you're grouping, how you're grouping, simple thing is you are grouping you form the clusters, you are comparing the one object with another object, all another objects in the sample space. So is a 1 to n comparisons like that. For example, n objects is there. How many comparisons is required? N cross n. If that if data size is increasing, then it is that many comparisons is take lot of time. Okay, so that much of you want to do a large amount of the data clustering, one is of the challenging, and you need to increase the fastness of your clustering algorithms. Fastness of your clustering algorithm. Otherwise, you can use the only distance metric as a similarity kind of metric you are using. Then what will happen? It will take lot amount of time to comparing the all the objects and find out the final decision you need to take. So instead of that one, you can come up with the any fastness of the clustering algorithm. These two are the main challenges in the clustering. Okay. So next, show what are the example of clustering applications. I said is clustering applications are used in many different applications like marketing, land use, insurance, city planning, earthquakes studies, and where you want to form the grouping, where you want to find the one which group is similar kind of objects is there. Then you can apply the this kind of the clustering procedure. Okay, so if the data is unlabeled and you want to form the groups kind of thing, means okay, these all are belongs to the same category, these are belongs some, this all sample belongs to the same class, then you can come, you can form the that all the samples into the one class. So that time you can apply this clustering method. Okay, so one example I will explain is here insurance. So different type of insurance policies is there. So you want to find out the particular insurance policy related people in that group, how many people is there, that is your task. So insurance means, for example, bike insurance is there, or car insurance is there, and health insurance is there, or personal LIC kind, life insurance kind of thing is there. So in this insurance also again the subcategory, many categories is there. For example, you can take this life insurance, and there's also many different plans is there. Okay, so you want to find out the in that plan, particular plan, how many people is register and how many people are belongs to that plan. Then you want to calculate that kind of thing, you need to identify that information, then you can apply the clustering on that data. So once you are applying the clustering on data, it will form the groups. So based on that, you can easily identify, okay, for example, in LIC policy like Jeevananand or Jeevan something is there. So Jeevananand, many, maybe this 10 million people is there, 20 million people is registered. So like that, it will give the total count of that people, or maybe you need to identify the how many people is there who are there. So that purpose, grouping purpose, you can use the this clustering mechanism. Okay. Then I already said you want to say, for example, here machine learning algorithms is there. So other than these algorithms, you can come up with your own application and apply on the these algorithms on that applications. Maybe your applications are new, still people not used in machine learning algorithms and that applications. Then what you need to do, you can apply this machine learning algorithms and you can show the better results or improvement. Means automation kind of process, or maybe anywhere. Okay, with the help of this machine learning algorithms, you can show it. Sometimes already some people applied on the this machine learning algorithms on the same application. Then how you do again, you're doing again, means where is the novelty is there, where is the difference is there compared with the existing methods, and you that time you can come up with your modification in the algorithm. Okay, so some people they will come up with their own modification and they will do. I shown morning the two different approaches. The approaches are, for example, in ensemble method, bagging boosting is there. So in bagging case, initially what they did, they will take in the some sample data, then after that they use the some classifier. Next again the again pick up the some sample data, again use the same classifier. So like that they will take the sample data, applied on same samples. Then after the sometime what will happen, instead of taking the sample data, they taken the whole data, means complete data, and given to the different classifiers. So like that the people who are the after seeing the original algorithm, they will come up with their own algorithm. Like that they will form that like algorithms. So here also different people they will form their algorithms. Okay, then they tested in some data set. Okay, then he tested and data set means he formed the clusters. Then next he want to prove it, okay, my clustering method is better than existing one. One way is results accuracy comparisons only. Then instead of that one, after forming the clusters, your clusters are good or bad, you want to say. Then I said previous slides, you need to have the some comparison, that is intra-class similarity, inter-class similarity. Okay, intra-class similarity means what is that mean? Within the class you are comparing the objects. Okay, within the class you are comparing the object means always similarity is high, because these all objects belongs to the same group. Like that you are forming the clusters. Okay, so that's the reason high intra-class similarity. And inter-class similarity means you are comparing the one object from one cluster with the another object from another cluster. So you're comparing two objects from the two different clusters. Okay, so when you're comparing the two objects from the two different clusters, then what is happened, the similarity is more or less. Similarity is always less, because that is not belongs to the same clusters. The two objects are belongs to the different clusters. If the different clusters means the two objects is not similar, so that is the reason we can have the similarities low inter-class similarity, high intra-class similarity, low inter-class similarity. So when your algorithm, your method is satisfying these two conditions, then you can say your clustering method is form the good clusters. Okay, so this is the how you can say your clusters are good, is this is the only way. Okay, next major clustering approaches. Different type of clustering techniques is there. So first one is the, and basic one is the partition based clustering algorithm. So it divides the data into partition, means it is form the clusters, form the groups kind of thing. So in this K-means clustering, K-media clustering, Clarence clustering algorithms is there. And who are the non researchers of computer science, other than computer science researcher means who are not machine learning researcher, maybe it's a network related people, or maybe non-computer science of people like electrical, mechanical, or civil, or chemical kind of people. They use this K-means or basic clustering algorithm. These are enough to they form the groups, they generate the label for the unlabeled data. These methods is sufficient, no need to go for the more recent or more complicated one, because that are not required. With the help of this basic methods only, they will get the more accurate results. Okay, because the data construction is like that, they want to find the any unlabeled data with the labels, then you can do this algorithms. Next one is the another type of algorithm is hierarchical approach. So this hierarchical approach is, you can same, you can call as a, like a tree structure kind of thing. How the Bennett trees and Abel trees is there, the same way it will work. Okay, is follow hierarchy kind of thing. So in this two types is there, agglomerative hierarchical approach and divisional hierarchical approach. Okay, so division means it will take the all the samples into the one attribute kind of thing. Then after that we can divide into the small parts. So that is called the division. Next one is the agglomerative clustering means it will be take the small samples, then combine into higher level. How they will combine, why they combine means based on the matching criteria. So how much closeness is there, how much similarity is there, and based on that only they will combine it. Next, another type of the clustering approach is density based clustering approach. So it will take the some density kind of the distance. So within the density, how many samples are coming into the, how many samples is there, it will find out. So based on that, for example, you can take in the density 3 meters or 2 meters kind of thing. So within the density, how many objects is there, that all are you treated as that all are belongs to the same cluster. Okay, so that is the density based clustering algorithm. So DBSCAN optics DenClue comes under density based clustering algorithm, and Bridge Rock Chemelin is comes under the hierarchy based clustering algorithm. And another type of the clustering algorithm is the grid based clustering algorithm. So your sample space is divided into the different grids. Okay, means like different cells. Normally you can take the matrix. So matrix, what is have these rows and columns is there, and we can call the each part is called the cell. So here also what we will do, you have the your data is there on the sample space, then divide the data into the grids. So in that grid, how many samples is there, that all the samples we are considered as the one cluster. Okay, like that it will be form the clusters, that is sting, wave cluster, click is there. So these are the methods in the grid based approach. Next, another type of the clustering methodology is there, that is called the model based methods. Okay, So it is based on the model like hidden Markov model and expectation maximization and SOM, self-organization maps kind of thing. These all are model-based methods. Okay. So based on the models, we can do the forming the clusters. Okay. So these are the major clustering approaches, and not only this one fixed, many other clustering techniques also is there, because day by day people will be do modification on existing clustering algorithms, then they will propose new ideas, new methods on their own. Okay. So here in machine learning, there is no fixed kind of the criteria like fixed syllabus kind of thing. But these are the basic algorithms I'm discussing here. Okay. Next, here also some system architecture is that how the supervised learning algorithms is working, what are the stages is there, how it is working. Same way here unsupervised also some stages is there. So that stages may be same as a supervised learning algorithm, but in this case there is no training criteria kind of thing, means there is no model generation kind of thing. So here what will happen, for example, here you have taken the patterns. So I said pattern is nothing but data, any data, either image or text or video or signal, any type of the data you take it. So initially here also, what do you need to do? After extracting the after collecting the data, you need to go for the feature extraction. Okay. So means you need to extract the properties or attributes related to the your data. So once you are extracting the properties, then you can apply the similarity metric on the feature values to find out the which are the vectors, which are the feature values are more close. Then that closer features are forming as a single group. Okay. So forming the single group means it will generate the label for which are having the closest one. Then finally you can get this kind of the clusters. Okay. So this is the clustering mechanism, but you remember it, before extracting the features in both the cases in classification stage or maybe in this clustering stage, another type of this the pre-processing kind of thing. Okay. So pre-processing is the one mechanism. What is mean by pre-processing? So what is mean by pre-processing? Before your actual work on, before your actual work, my actual work is I want to do some classification kind of thing, or for example in medical data I want to find out the tumor detection or maybe cancer detection kind of thing. Okay, that is my actual task. So for example, you take the any ultrasound images in medical data. So these ultrasound images are contains a lot of noise information is there. Okay. So when you work on your method on that data, what will happen, the data will not give better results because of noise, or maybe some loss information will be happen, then it will not give the good results. So to avoid that one or to overcome that kind of problem, then what they will do, they will do the some pre-processing on the data. What type of the pre-processing is required here? So they want to do the cleaning of the data, or maybe remove the noise kind of the data, because it's the ultrasound images full of noise information is there. So you can remove the noise. Okay, then your image is clear, then automatically it will be do the any tumor detection or any cancer detection kind of thing. Okay, so that is the one kind of pre-processing. Here not only fixed kind of pre-processing methods is there, many pre-processing techniques is there. So for example, you are taking the image data you are collected. Okay, so today you went you taken the with some camera, some resolution camera, and collected some images. Okay, maybe tomorrow also you went and you are collecting the some images. That images may be different camera, different resolutions. So or maybe different image sizes is there. Then you are taking the pixel intensity values as your feature values. So this is 10 cross 10 image, or this 11 cross 11 image, 12 cross 12. Okay, 10 cross 10 means how many features you will get. How, for example, you are using the your pixel intensity values as your feature values, then how many you will get? 100. Here, so you see here 100 you are getting, here 121, here 141. So like this your database image is the total image is 5000. So for one vector, what is the here in this case 100 cross 1. In this case, 120 cross 1. In this case, 144 cross 1. This is for the single image. So you want to take the whole database. In the database, 5000 images is there. So what is the feature value? But feature value variation is there. So this variation is there. We can't keep in the matrix. It is not possible. One vector is high value, one vector is lower dimension, one vector dimensionality is more, like that is there. Then it is not possible to fix your data into the matrix. Then what you need to do before you can working on your actual work, then what you need to do, you can resize the images. So you resize all the images into the 10 cross 10, 10 cross 10. Then this is also 10 cross 10. You can resize the 10 cross 10 resize. Then what will happen? This is also get the 100. This also can get the 100 pixels. So finally, every matrix you will get the 100 cross 100. Okay. Then you can what is the total matrix size? 100 cross 5000. Means total image database feature values. Okay. So like that you can do this type of the pre-processing. So sometimes what will happen, not only you are doing this kind of pre-processing techniques, some main methods also. Main methods means in terms of the classification methods or in terms of the clustering methods, I mean supervised or unsupervised learning techniques, you applied and the before your actual work, means at the time of pre-processing stage you can apply it. So that is depending on your database condition. Okay. So in pre-processing means before your actual work, you can perform some operations on your data, then that is called the pre-processing. So that operations may be sometimes simple operations or sometimes the main operations. Main operations means like classification or clustering kind of techniques you can apply on the data. Then it will be do that one. So this kind of pre-processing it is optional. It's not compulsory. Okay. Then after that you can go for the feature extraction. After extracting the features, then if you feel your dimensionality is more, your data dimensionality is more, then you can apply the dimension reduction kind of methods. So that this is also is not compulsory to all. So if you want to reduce the dimensionality of the data, then you can go ahead with this dimension reduction method. Otherwise not required. You want to okay, your data dimensionality is okay, then I don't want to reduce the dimensionality of my data, then go ahead. If you want to reduce, then apply the different type of the dimension reduction techniques and you can do it. That is the dimension reduction. Then after that, here in this case, clustering cases, you can find out the which clustering method you want to use, then apply the clustering method. So always clustering methods, what they will do based on the similarity matrix, they will form the groups only. So either equivalent distance or malleable distance and cross correlation or any other distance kind of matrix they will use to form the groups. So once they are forming the group means that is only final clusters. Okay. So this is the architecture of the clustering approaches. Okay. So here I said here forming the similarity matrix means previously I said the similarity matrix are the distance based similarity matrix to form the clusters. Okay. Then you form the clusters. After that you can again compare whether these two clusters are same or different. If these two clusters are same, what you need to do? Again these two clusters are formed as a single cluster. Okay. Like that you can make it. So I need to identify whether these two clusters are same or not. That some matrix is there. That is called the some other alternative to calculate the distance between the clusters. So different types is there to calculate the between the clusters. Normally you can calculate you can form the clusters. You can compare the one object with another object with the equivalent distance or any other distance that you can use it, or malone distance or cross correlation kind of thing. Then after forming the clusters, then you want to compare the two clusters are similar or not. If two clusters are similar, then you can form as a single cluster. If two clusters are different, then it's okay, fine. Then how you find out whether the two clusters are similar or not? So that is one of the metric is called the single link. Single link means it will take the minimum distance from the two different clusters. So where it is possible minimum distance, the closest points of the two different clusters. So this only gives the minimum distance. So that is the taken distance of Ki and Kj. Okay. So for example, the site cluster, this is jth cluster. Okay. Then how you taken, that is minimum distance, you can take it based on that you can form as the we can identify whether these two clusters are close or not. Next one is the complete link. Link means it will take the maximum distance between the two clusters. So one cluster is here, another cluster is there. So maximum distance means one edge corner with another corner. Okay, so this will give the maximum distance. So that's they taken the maximum value. Next one is the average distance and clusters. So based on the average distance, they will find out whether these two clusters are similar or different. How you will find that this average cluster? For example, one cluster is there and another cluster we have. So in this cluster, for example, 3 objects is there. Here also many objects is there. For example, choosing this object. Okay, then calculate the distance from this cluster object to the another clusters. So what happened? So you calculating this point to the all the other cluster data points. Then you can average this data, average these distances. That is called the average distance. Okay, so you're taking the one data point from one cluster and calculate the distance from the data point to the all other clusters data points. So another cluster data points, so how many is there here? 3 data points is there in this case. Then you can calculate the distances of this data points to the other cluster distance, other cluster data points. Then take the average of the distance. Okay, that is called the average. Next, another type of the distance to find out the whether these two clusters are similar or not with help of the centroid. Okay, so one cluster is there, the cluster centroid here, another cluster is there, centroid here. Then take the distance from these two cluster centers. Okay, so the distance between the center of the centroid of these two clusters is called the centroid distance. Okay, next another type of the distance metric to find out whether these two clusters are similar or not. So that is called the median distance. So you can observe it. This centroid distance is not exactly centrally located one. That maybe here or here like that. But median distance is exactly centrally located distance. Okay, so like that two clusters is there, the two clusters median points is there. Okay, then you take the distance from these two clusters median points is called the median distance. So you can remember it, centroid is not exactly centrally located a point and median is the exactly centrally located point. Okay, so that is the median distance. Okay, so it is clear till now. Any questions? No. Of this one, you can identify if both the clusters are similar, then I make it as a change now. If both the clusters are similar means what will happen, then you can make it change and you can form the new cluster. Okay, so like that you can form the clustering mechanism. Okay, that you need to do. Next another is, first we will go for the partition based clustering algorithm. So it is in this clustering algorithm is based on the number of objects you divide into the partitions. Okay, means different parts. Okay, so here for this one, what is required means how many data objects is there, that is one required, and number of partitions, how many partitions you are doing. Partitions is nothing but clusters only. Okay, here terminology they use the partition means that is called the clusters. So how many clusters? Cluster is nothing but grouping. So how many groups? Group means what you are doing internally, generate the labels. Okay, so for example, you given the database consists of a number of objects. So what is mean by objects? Objects is nothing but your data. Data is nothing but maybe it is image related data, or maybe it is text related documents, or maybe it is related to video data, or maybe it's related to the signals or any samples. These all are corresponding to the same terminology. This is called as a data. Next, in this partition based clustering algorithm, you take one more input is that is called the k number of partitions. So how many partitions you want to do? So that will give before only. So k number of partitions. K means maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 number. So how many groups you want, you can give that input. Okay. So one condition is there. Always k value is less than the n. Otherwise meaningless, because your 100 objects is there. So this 100 objects you want to form the 100 clusters, then what is use of forming the cluster? No useful. Okay, then this 100 objects you can form it as the 3 clusters or 4 clusters. The k value is 3 or 4, then always k value is less than the number of objects. So you remember it, the number of forming the clusters are much less than the number of objects, that you remember it. So other than this, two requirements is there in the partition based clustering algorithm. So what are the requirements is I will explain here. So first requirement is each group must contain the at least one object. So for example, I am forming the clusters. So my number of objects is 100. Okay, total number of objects is 100. Then I want to form the k equal to 3 clusters. Okay, so that is cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3. C1, C2, C3. 3 clusters I formed, for example, you can assume it. So in this cluster, I have the 50 is there. In this cluster, 50 is the samples. So in cluster C contains how many samples? Any answer? In cluster 3, how many samples is there? My voice is audible? So how many clusters, how many objects is there in cluster C3? How many is there? 0, because total number of objects is 100. 50 is there A cluster, 50 is there B C2 cluster. Then remaining how many objects is there? 0 objects. So it is satisfying the first condition? No. What is the first condition? Each group must contains the at least one object. Group means cluster. Each cluster contains at least one. At least one means here C is how many is there? 0 is there. So it not satisfy the condition. So then our clusters is like this. For example, here 50 is there, here maybe 49 is there, here 1 is there. So at least 1 is there, then okay, it is satisfying the first condition. So you remember it in the when you are using the partition based clustering algorithms. So definitely this satisfies this condition. Each group contains the at least one. Okay, next second condition is each object must belongs to the exactly one group. So here how many objects is there? 100 objects is there. So 100 objects, each object must belongs to exactly one group. Okay, means there is no empty object, means simply one object is there, this is not assigned to the any cluster, means not like that. So this object is assigned to the any one of the cluster. Okay, but exactly one cluster only, not multiple clusters. Here for example, first object is there, so first object is more closest to cluster C1. Then you can assign this object belongs to which group? It belongs to C1. No, not like that. Is contains C2 also, means this is the wrong way. So in this partition based clustering algorithm, each object is must be belongs to the exactly one group only, not multiple groups, or don't left the empty objects. This object is assigned to the any one of the group. Okay, any one of the group, and it belongs to only one group only. Multiple clusters are not allowed in this partition based clustering algorithm. So basically here two different methods is there. One is k-means clustering algorithm, another the k-media clustering algorithm. So k-means clustering algorithm basically based on the mean only this algorithm will be work. So here based on the cluster center, you can take the cluster centers as a centering point, and based on the mean only we can form the clusters. And k-mediate clustering algorithm based on the mediates only we can form the clusters. Okay, so the difference I will show what is the center and what is the mediate. After explaining the algorithm I will explain it. So here I am explaining k-means clustering algorithm. It's a center based technique, and in it is basically what why this name is k-means means it is mean based algorithm. Okay, so it is center based technique, it is a mean, is the mean based algorithm. K means how many clusters you want. So what are the inputs is required? The number of clusters, how many clusters you want, you need to tell, and the number of data objects. These two are the inputs you need to take. So based on this one, you need to form the clusters. So output is just how many clusters you are want, that many clusters it will be formed. So that is the your output. So just I'm reading the here algorithm, then after that I will explain the steps. So first to arbitrarily choose the k objects as the initial cluster centers, because you are taking the k number of clusters you want, then you can choose the k objects as the initial cluster centers, and repeat this from the steps which are the below the second point. Assign each object to the cluster to which the object is most similar based on the mean value of the object in the cluster. So which is the closest one, you can assign it. Update the cluster center means until no change. Then this is the k-means clustering algorithm. Then now I will explain here how that algorithm will work. So here in my here I am taking the one example. The example contains the number of objects is 100 objects is there. Okay, so the objects are look like this. So these are my objects. So total number of objects is n equal to 100 I am taking. Then I want to do the clustering is 3 clusters I form. So first step is randomly, arbitrarily choose the k number of points as the your initial clusters. So k number of points means 3 points I need to choose it. So one point is here, another point is here, another point is here. Okay, then these 3 points I am choosing as a initial cluster. One point is there. So what is the center of this point? What is the center of this point? Is only one point is there, the center of the point is point itself only. Okay, if the multiple is there, it is a different. Only one point is there, that is the point, center of the point is there itself. So for example, this is the centers only, then that center is C1, the center for this one is C2, and center for third one is C3. Okay, because number of clusters is k equal to 3. Remaining how many data points is there? Already 3 data points you taken. Remaining how many data points is there? 97. Okay, so in this 97 data points, you can choose any one data point randomly. For example, I choose one data point here. Okay, then calculate the distance from the data points to the cluster centers. Okay, so you can choose the any data point. Okay, from next you can, after choosing the data point, you can calculate the distance from the data point to the cluster centers. Okay, so among these 3, which cluster have the nearest distance is there, you can identify. Can you give anyone answer which is the closest one? So which cluster is closest to the data point? Closest means which is have the minimum distance. So my voice is visible, audible or not? So which is the minimum distance among these three cluster centers?
C1.
So C1 is the minimum distance. So when you identify C1 is the minimum distance, then you can generate the label for this data point. So that is called the, you can mark it use the C1. Okay. Next, in C1, previously only one point is there. Now another point came. So previously center is this point itself. Am I right? Now another point came. What is the center of these 2 points? What is the center of these 2 points? Previously only one point is there. So one point means the center of the that point is, or center of that cluster is the point itself. But now what happened? Now 2 data points is there. Okay. So in these 2 data points, uh, we have the 2 data points is there. In these 2 data points is there. Now how you calculate center? The mean of these 2 points will give the center. So the center will be here. Am right? So based on the mean, you can update the your center. So after assigning the label to that data point, now you can update the mean, update the center. The center is here now. Okay. Next, you can choose randomly remaining how many points is there? 96 points is there. Next, you can choose any one data point. For example, I chosen this data point. Next, to calculate the distance from the data point to the cluster centers. Now, which cluster center is nearest one? So, which cluster is nearest one now in this data point case? So, in this case also nearest data point is C1 only. Then you can mark it this data point as a class C1. Okay. Next, after the labeling the data point to the data point to C1, next what you need to do, you need to update the center. Why you need to update the center? Because the cluster C1 contains now 3 points. Okay, previous center is here, but new point came. Where is the center? The mean of these 3 values will give the center. The center will come here. Okay, the center is here now. Okay, so like that your center updated. Next, to take any other data point, remaining 95 points is there, our data samples. Take any one point. For example, I have taken one point here. Then calculate the distance from the data point to the cluster centers. So this is one center, this is another second cluster center, and this is the first cluster center. Then which is the minimum distance is there among these 3 cluster centers for this data point? So C3 is the minimum distance. Then you can label this is also C3. Now previously C3 one point is there, next new point came. Then previously center itself only, but new point came, the center will be mean of these 2 points that will give here. So like that center will be changed. Okay. Like that, what are the remaining 94 points is there? Take one by one point and calculate the distance from the data points to the cluster centers. Okay, then which is the minimum distance is there, then you can generate the label for that related cluster. So after generating the labels, what you need to do, you can update the center of means center of the that cluster, because new data point came, then automatically center will be changed. Okay, so like that you can update the center. Okay, then that automatically form the uh, uh, after the doing this one, it will form the groups. These all are forming the clusters. Okay, so this is the forming the clustering. Okay, so my question is, these are the final clusters or not? So my clustering procedure is completed or not? So your clustering procedure completed or not? Anyone give the answer? I did for the all the objects. So 94 to 93 like this is came until the one object also completed. So after that you can assume it all the points in the group it is generated as the labels. Okay. Then you can assume it my clusters are completed or not. So anyone give the answer? My question is clear. So all the objects are completed. Finally, I get the each and every object. Each and every object is labeled and cluster centers are updated. Then my question is, my clustering is completed or not? These are the clusters or not?
Completed.
Completed. So what I'm saying, these are the my clustering is not completed. Why it is not completed? Why it is not completed means here I am taking simple example. So what will happen, for example, initially one object is here chosen initially, for example 90 94, you can assume it 94 object is chosen, this one. Okay, so this object again calculate the distance from this object to the cluster centers. Okay, then which is the nearest one? Maybe C2. Then you can generate the label for the C2 and update the center for this one is here. Then after that you can take one more object here. Okay, another object is here. Then calculate the distance from this object to the cluster centers. Okay, then this is also assigned to the C2. Then center will be updated here. Okay, next another object is there like this. Most of the objects is after the clustering, this objects are this side is there. Then what will happen if you are taking the one object, your mean also moving in this direction. You observe it. For example, one object is there, that is itself is a cluster. Another object is there. The center is between these 2 points. Now new object came. Then what will happen? Center will come here. I'm right. Then another object came. Then what will happen? Center will come here. Next another object is came. Center will come here. Next another object is came. Center is here. Like this. So after doing this 94th object, the most of the cluster C2 objects are in this direction. Then center will be moved this side only. Center will come after the all the points is completed here. But C1 also data points is this direction is there. C1 is contains the data points. Its move cluster center is here. So where I am doing dark, that is centers. So the C3 center is here. For example, all the objects come. Then you can see this C2 is initially you taken, that is decided as a, this data point is decided at the cluster C2. Then after the 100 all the parts completed, then you look into that one. This is real to closest to the C1 or C2. Now this is closest to the C1 or C2. C1 cluster. But initially, what you did initially when you're first time comparing that object is belongs to the closest to the C2, then you assign this is C2. But after the all objects completed, what will happen after the all objects completed? Then the point is closest to the C1. Okay, then you can realize then it is not the perfect cluster. Then again you can repeat for the all these 100 objects because now you have the centers is there. You identify the centers. Now again start from the each and every object. For example, 99 object, 98 object. Again repeat the procedure. So after the procedure is completed, again the some points will be moving one cluster to another clusters. Okay. Then centers will be changed. Then again the after that again repeat the again for the 100 objects. Again centers will be changed. Again repeat the for the again 100 of this same objects only. Again repeat it multiple times until clusters are converged. Clusters are converged means what is the meaning of clusters are converged means no object is moving to the one cluster to the another cluster or cluster centers are does not change. So when the cluster center will be changed? When the center will be changed? If new object came, then automatically the center will be changed. I'm right? So until that time, for example, your iteration 1 is over, iteration 2 is 2 times is over, iteration 3 times is over, like that iteration 98 times is over. Then you are now doing iteration 99 times. Okay, when you compare this iteration 99 and 98 values, so in 98, what are the mean values? Means what are the center values is there? In 99 and 98 is same. Then you can stop your criteria. So centers are same, each cluster centers are same, and no centers are same means what is that meaning? No object means no data point moving one cluster to another cluster. Moving one cluster to another cluster means, for example, here this data point belongs to the cluster C1. Now also in 98 iteration, in 99 iterations also the data point belongs to the same cluster. It belongs to C1 only. It's not moving to any other cluster. So like that is there, then your cluster center will be not changed. Then you can conclude it, your clusters are final clusters. So only one iteration, it is not the final cluster. Why it is not the final cluster means, I given the simple example. Initially one object is chosen. This object is initially C1 center is C1 is center is here. Okay, this is C1 center and C2 center is here. Then now we can conclude, okay, this is near to the C2, then you can conclude this is a C2 object. But most of the C2 points is in this direction is there. Okay, remaining points is in this direction is there. Then what will happen? Your center move in this direction because our center is based on the mean you are calculating. Then C1 data points is in this direction. Okay, so what will happen? C1 is moved to in this direction. So all the points completed. Now C1 center is here, C2 center is here. Now we can compare this data points. This data points is close to C1 or C2, closest to C1, but you are assigned as a C2. Then what I am saying, you repeat the same procedure for all the data objects. Again repeat, again repeat, again repeat. After the each iteration is repeating, what will happen? This data points will be moved to this cluster. Then it will form like this. Then it's formed like this. Then again repeat, maybe some data parts move to the another cluster, like that you can repeat the many times. So after repeating the many times, what will happen? Some stage, after this many iterations is completed, some stage no data points is moved to the one cluster to another cluster. If data points are not moving to another cluster, then what will happen? Your center will be not changed. Your center will be not changed means your clusters are unchanged. Okay, so this is the clustering mechanism, the k-means clustering algorithm. See here, I choose the k equal 2 values. 2 values means 2 centers, insert centers. Okay. Then after forming the first time clusters, what will happen? This thick color blue is belongs to the, for example, this cluster C2, this is cluster C1. This light color blue is belongs to the C1, and thick color blue is this is belongs to C2. Then your centers is like this is there. Then what I'm saying, after the clusters, again repeat the iteration, one more iteration. Why one more iteration? Because initially your center is here. Then this point is near to this one compared to this one. Then you conclude it's C1. Then this point is near to this C2. Then you conclude this point is C compared to C1. Then after assigning each and every one object and updating the centers, then what will happen? Your center is comes to here C1, your C2 center is come to here. But you can think about this data points and this data points. This data points now it is closest to C1 or C2, it is closest to C1. This data point closest to the C2. Then what I'm saying, again repeat the procedure. After again repeat the procedure, you can observe it. Okay. This data point, what your previously C2 is there converted into C1. This data point, previously it is C1, now it's converted into C2. Like that you can repeat the iterations. Okay. Finally, you can get the good number of clusters. So it is clear. If you have any doubts is there, you can ask too, or any questions. Any questions or any doubts? No doubt. Okay. So like that you can form the this k-means clustering algorithm. So here some drawbacks is there. What are the drawbacks is, for example, here how the center is forming, how your center is computing based on the okay. So if the mean is existed, then this where the data sets where you are choosing, you want to cluster the data sets. That case where the mean is existed, then it will be applicable. If the mean does not exist for the, your data sets, then this method is not applicable. Next, another drawback is you need to specify the k value. So you can give the, before you start the procedure, you need to give the input as a k value. For example, you have the database contains the originally 4 different classes is there, but you choose the k equal to 3. Then what about one more class? The class will be shuffled to the another, any one of the clusters, or it is going to the, so that choosing the k value is different. Okay, so that is the another drawback of the choosing the k value in this k-means clustering algorithm. Next, unable to handle the noise data or outliers. So noise data or outliers means, what does that mean? For example, in this case, for example, one data point is here. Okay, so initially your k value equal to 3. So instead of choosing the this C3 value, this k value, this initial center as a this one, then what I did, I chosen the this is as a my initial cluster center C3. So you are doing any number of iterations, okay, many number of iterations, any data points is going to this cluster is possible or not, any number of iterations. So any number of iterations you can do. Initially you can choose this data point as a cluster center. So you are repeating this one any number of iterations. So any data points is belongs to this cluster or not. It is not possible because all the data points is closest to either the C1 center or C2 center. Then no data points is going to the C3. Then what is the use of taking these data points as an insert cluster? Suppose if you are choosing this data points as an insert cluster, there is no use. So this data point is how the this much distance is there. Okay, then this is called the outliers or noisy information. So now that is the reason it is how the far distance means, the compare with all the data objects is how the far distance is there, means that is the outlier of the noisy data, because the properties of the data is different from the all the samples in the sample space. Okay, so you choose in the that outliers is the initial cluster centers, it will be unable to handle the outliers. So that is the one of the drawback of the this k-means clustering algorithm. So first one is the where the mean is existed, then this algorithm will be applicable, otherwise it is not applicable. Next, another is you need to specify k value before the your clustering process started. So this is another drawback. Next one is it is unable to handle the noise data or outliers information. This is another type of the drawback. Next, it is not suitable for the non-convex shapes kind of thing data is there. Okay, then the type of the data it is not applicable, this one. So these three are the these four are the main drawbacks of the k-means clustering algorithms. Okay, so here to overcome this one, they will use the another type of the clustering method. They is called the k-mediated clustering algorithm. So k-mediated clustering algorithm, what they will do, instead of taking the mean value of the objects as a cluster center, means reference point, they will take in the median as the reference point, means center. Instead of taking the mean value as a reference point, they will take the median as a reference point here. So that is called the k-mediated clustering algorithm. Means k-mediated means exactly centrally located object. For example, one point is there and another point is there. So what is the center of these 2 points? The mean of these 2 points you are taking. This is the center of these 2 points, but not center of the cluster. Am right? So that you are doing in the k-means. K-mediated means, for example, you have the data points like this. Then which data point I choose as the center point in this? So definitely when you are applying the k-means, it will choose any data points as a center. But in case of k-midite, it will choose this data point as a center point. So that is called the k-midite. Is the midite means exactly centrally located object. Okay, so that is the k-midite cluster. Okay, so this exactly centrally located means sometimes it is not of the only single object, maybe multiple also is there, maybe near to here and one more here, one more here, like this is there. So initially you chosen this one as my midite object. Next time you can find out whether this is a midite object or not using some criteria. Okay, if it is midite object, then you can update the your midite object is this one. If it is not, this is not midite object, then it will update only previous one as the midite object. So that like that we can update the nearest points. So in this case also we can take the input is same, number of clusters how many you want, and the number of data objects n. Then output also what it will give the number of clusters, k number of clusters, how many clusters you are asking, that many clusters it will be generated, and with the it will be minimum of the errors, it will be minimize the sum of the dissimilarities, distances. Okay, it will be reduce the error. Okay, so that is object. So here I will read the algorithm and I will explain what is the this k-midite clustering algorithm. So he is the use the real object to represent the cluster and select the k representative objects as arbitrarily. Here also you can select the k representative arbitrarily and associate each data point to the closest midite by using the any common distance metric methods. For each pair of non-selected object H, selected object I is there. So calculate the total swapping cost TCI. If the each pair of non-selected selected object and non-selected object, the total cost is less than the some threshold value, then I is replaced with H. Then assign the each non-selected object to the most similar object and repeat this second 3 steps until no change. So what he is doing, it will follow the same as the k-means clustering algorithm. So other than k-means clustering algorithm, they will calculate this swapping cost extra. So this swapping cost they're finding extra means why they're finding means, for example, selected object means the previous midite object. Now you want to test if this is the midite object or not. So with this object you are calculating the some cost. Okay, and with this object also you are calculating the some cost. Okay, then the total swapping cost is TCIH is okay the current cost. Okay, the current cost H1 minus I cost, so you'll get the some value. Okay, so you're getting that positive value. Okay, you are getting the positive value means the previous one has only representative points, the previous one only midite point. Okay, for example, the difference, the new cost minus old cost is you are getting the negative value means what is that meaning? Okay, then the new representative point is the midite point. Okay, you can choose like this way midite point. So I will show here one example, you can get some idea and some clarity. So here how many samples is there, total number of samples is there, this is my data. So each sample is two values is there, x coordinate value, y coordinate value. Okay, so in this out of 10 samples I am choosing the two, initially to choose the two centers. So what is my k value? K equal to 2. Okay, so I projected this data into the my sample space. So I projected all the points 4 plus 4 plus 8 10. Okay, so but these 2 points are the centers because I choose the k equal to. Then what I am doing is after choosing the arbitrarily this cluster centers, next you can calculate the distance from that each and every data points to the cluster centers. Okay, both the cluster centers you need to calculate the distances. So you can use the any clustering distance. Okay, so for example, I selected two midites. Okay, that k value equals 2. The midite points are the 4, 5, 8, 5. Okay, initially chosen. Next, what I said, you calculate the distance from the each data point to the each and every cluster centers. So I calculate the distances for the cluster C1 and cluster C2. So the distance I use the simple distance formula x2 minus x1 and plus y2 minus y1. You can use any distance Euclidean distance or any kind of distance formula you can use it. It's up to you. So after that, I am getting the distance values. Okay, here I am getting the distances for compare with the C1 cluster. So this is the center for the C1. This is center for the C2. Okay. So this data point, first data point to the C1 distance is 6, and first data point to the C2 is the 2. So in this we can find out the which is the minimum distance. So which is the minimum? C2. In this C1, here C1, here C2, C1, C2, C2, C2. Okay. So this is the minimum distances are finding. So how many objects contain the C2 cluster? How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many contains in C1 cluster? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 5 objects belongs to the C2 cluster, 3 objects belong to the C1 cluster. So based on the which is the minimum distance is there, then you can assign. So after assigning the distances, you can calculate the cost. So the cost is the sum of the all the distances values. So what your distances values is there? So this is for C1 distances related, these are C2 related. The cost is 20. Okay. So that is the only cost you are calculating. Next, third point, randomly select one non-mediate point and recalculate the cost. So why you are taking? Because maybe you think about this is mediate point. Okay, you want to test is this is mediate point or not. Okay, so that you can choose in the 8,4. So previously this is the cluster C2 is there as is only. This is previously C1. Now you can choose this as a representative point. You are assuming this as a my representative point C1. Again calculate the distance from the all the data points to the cluster centers, and this new the cluster centers means one is the old representative old cluster center, another one is a new clustering center. So now you are testing this is the my representative mediate point or not, or this old one as a mediate point. You want to test it, then you can calculate the distances from the cluster C1 and to the cluster C2. Then which you find out the cluster which is the minimum distance is there, you can assign to the that cluster. So this is C2, C1, C1, C2, C2, C1, C2, C2. Again calculate how many C2 is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So C2 contains 5 objects. C1 contains the remaining objects is 3. Okay. Now again the calculate the cost for the this new representative point, new center. Okay, with the distances. Then these 3 are for the C1, this 5 are for the C2. I calculate the distance for the new representative point. What are the new representative point? 8,4 for 8,4 and another center 4,5. Okay. Now I am calculating swapping cost. The new cost means this 22. Okay, minus previous cost. Previous cost is 20 is there. You see, previous cost is 20. With a representative point is what you taken 4,5 and 8,5 is the center for this cost. Okay. Now the total cost is 2. I said the total cost you are getting the positive one. Then you can assume it. The old one is the my representative point. The old one means what is that old one? 4,5, 8,5. That is only my representative point. The new point is the not the representative point. So when you will get the new representative point, if it is the difference you are getting the negative value, means old one is less than the new value, then you get the negative value, then you can conclude that is that one. So normally you can use that is the threshold is 0 only taken. Then based on that you can conclude whether this is the my new representative point or not. Like that you can form the clusters and form the groups. Okay. So in this partition based clustering, k-means clustering algorithm is not suitable for the outliers and noise kind of information. K-means clustering algorithm, but it will be in k-mediate clustering algorithm. It will be overcome. How it will be overcome? Because we are randomly not choosing the any outlier information. We are choosing the exactly, for example, like this points is there. You choose the middle one only. If you are not choosing the this outlier kind of thing. So these only initially you are choosing the cluster centers. Okay. So that is the advantage of this one to avoid the overcome the this noise and outliers problem in which are happened in the k-means clustering algorithm. And this is work for the even small data sets also. It will be scale for the large data sets also. It will give the good results. Okay, so this is the k-media clustering algorithm. The difference I've shown what is the k-means clustering algorithm and k-media clustering algorithm. Okay, so if you have any queries or any doubts or any questions is there, you can ask to me regarding this unsupervised learning technique or clustering methods, or maybe in what are the given the morning sessions in machine learning related or supervising kind of thing, or features related kind of thing. Okay, if you have any queries is there, please ask to me.
Any question from the participant end? If you have any questions, kindly ask to the sir. You can directly unmute your mic, then ask the question.
So related to the any topic in this is fine.
So, sir, there is no any question.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So I'm closing now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your nice and informative sessions. It's really helpful to all the researcher, you can say, and also the academicians who are really interested to do the future works related to the machine learning, because the artificial intelligence and the machine learning both are the important concept in case of like any of branch. It's not related limited to the computer science or electrical or IT or any. So your talk is very useful to get the basic knowledge about the machine learning. So we
Yeah,
are
thank
really thankful to you, sir, on behalf of AICT, Atal, FDP, and also just on the behalf of JIT universities. We are really thankful to you to give us some time to at least deliver your knowledge or share your knowledge to all the participants. Thank you very much, sir.
yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Namaste. And we are thankful to all the participants who are attended the FDP program. So tomorrow is again the session from 9 to 10:30, then 10:40 to 12:10, then 3:30 to 5 p.m. Okay, so it's a request to all the participants to join before 10 minutes of each and every session, because we are going to start the sessions on the time. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, sir.